Today is October 19th. This is our weekly UFO update. I'm your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. So I'm going to do like a little ping pong thing here. This came in a couple of days ago. Are there really UFOs flying over Ukraine? And we'll talk about that. And then I'm going to show you a clip that I edited out of our remake of our first UFO film, the 70-year-old cover-up. And these people, this couple, discuss in great detail Roswell. And I think you'll find it interesting because I'm smelling the same type of doublespeak that we had over here with the Roswell crash. But you be the judge, and we'll get into that and so much more. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor. Visible signs of aging only get worse as we age because of a decrease in our naturally produced collagen levels. Every decade, our skin suffers from a 10% decrease in its available collagen supply, as well as a decrease in its quality. That means you'll have lost 30% of collagen your body used to be able to naturally produce by the time you're 45. Wow, is that sobering or what? When our skin doesn't have the power to hold its elasticity, we're the ones that suffer from older appearing skin, which is why you have to start supplementing collagen if you want to keep your youthful glow. In the next minute, I'm going to tell you how anyone can reduce visible signs of aging quickly and easily. After years of searching, the closest thing I've found to a modern-day fountain of youth is called multi-collagen. Collagen rejuvenates and renews your skin from the inside out with 5 supercharged types of collagen your body needs for a youthful-looking skin. Folks, I take it every day. I mix it up and drink it first thing in the morning. I've noticed a difference. By boosting your collagen levels with multi-collagen, you'll help restore your skin's elasticity and thickness while reducing the appearance of wrinkles. Stop and ask yourself how much more energetic you could look with taking it. Thousands of men and women trust taking collagen for their skin's health. Folks, try it risk-free for 60 days and up to 51% off by clicking a link in the description box directly below. That's www.healthwithla.com, healthwithla.com. Once again, www.healthwithla.com. After placing your order, it will be delivered straight to your doorstep along, drumroll please, with a few added bonuses. This offer, folks, is time-sensitive. Hurry and place your order now. Are there really UFOs flying over Ukraine? A recent report about pitch-black phantom UFOs in the skies over Ukraine has been discredited by the Ukrainian government and by Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb. Okay, I'm in Harvard. So this is towards the very end. While it's unclear exactly what the Ukrainian astronomers observed, stop right there. So they really don't know. But it's not UFOs, whatever it is. So just everybody calm down. So I'll read it again. While it's unclear exactly what the Ukrainian astronomers observed, be it artillery, bullets, bugs, or something else entirely, the impact of Russia's invasion of the country should not be ignored. According to a 2021 report from the U.S. Office of the Director of National Intelligence, it's likely that at least some UAP observed by American military personnel are technologies deployed by China, Russia, another nation, or a non-governmental entity. So that's an incredibly broad brush. We know from Commander David Fravor, when he had the encounter with the F-18 and that tic-tac shaped object, Fravor's flying the F-18, and he engages the tic-tac shaped object, which shoots away from him like a bullet out of a speeding gun. So Tucker Carlson asked him specifically, is this military? Could this be something from the Chicoms or the Russians? And Fravor said absolutely not. But here we have the doublespeak. This is the way the game is played. So I'll read this again. It's likely that at least some UAPs observed by American military personnel are technologies deployed by China, Russia, another nation, or a non-governmental entity. Other possible explanations for UAPs include airborne clutter, such as birds and balloons, atmospheric phenomena, such as ice crystals, or classified government projects, according to the ODNI report. So this sounds like a typical smokescreen that we've heard literally for decades. Look, folks, I don't know. I'm not there. I don't have my eye to the telescope. But what I find interesting is it's the typical flip, just like, and let me get the picture out here, because this tells you everything right here. This is why we're bringing this back up again, okay? And there it is. Captures flying disc. They capture the flying disc right there, right? There it is. Okay? Mac Brazel's Ranch. I'll read it to you. RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. No details of flying disc are revealed. But wait, it gets even better, because the powers that be come in and begin. And basically, Ramey says excitement is not justified. General Ramey empties Roswell saucer, and it's basically the weather balloon deal. That's the follow-up. That's the follow-up. And they have, in my opinion, it's been deliberately obfuscated literally for decades. It's been this Texas two-step, dancing around, obfuscate, obfuscate, obfuscate. That's the way the game is played. And the doublespeak that we see in the article that I just read talking about UFO flying over Ukraine. I spoke to Dr. Jesse Marcel Jr. Those of you who are friends of this show know that. And that is in, I believe, it's, there goes Swiper. It's in this book here, that whole interview that I did with him. He's passed away now, but he dedicated his life to the idea that we were being visited, and that what his father handled way back in 1947 was crashed debris from something that was not made on this earth. Those are that's his father's direct quote. Whatever this was something not made on this earth. That's Commander David Fravor echoes that when he has his engagement with the tic-tac shaped object. So what we see is this constant managing of what really happened. So what is the truth? Were there UFOs over the Ukrainian sky? Or was it just, some technology deployed by Russia or China or something else? Or was it airborne clutter like bugs? So here you've got trained personnel manning telescopes in Ukraine. They know what they're looking at. They're not stupid. Why would they tell us that there's UAPs, hundreds of them flying over Ukraine, unless there really were? And then, of course, a couple of weeks later, we get the Texas two-step. Here's the clip, and I interviewed the Rankins on this. They're both pastors. I think you'll find it interesting. And the backstory is this, that they were tending to this man, Colonel Hill, who was OSS, which is the forerunner of the CIA. He was an interrogator. According to Hill's testimony, he was flown to Roswell 48 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours after the crash. One of the entities was still alive. He tried to communicate with it. I think you'll find this interesting. I'll come back on the other end when it's over, and I'll weigh in on it.
In 1947, an event happened in Roswell, New Mexico that continues to be subject of books, movies, and countless lectures. According to Mac Brazel, a local rancher, a flying disc, a UFO, had crashed on his ranch. Jesse Marcel Sr., an intelligence officer, investigated the crash. The discovery made international headlines but was redacted the next day by the U.S. Army, who stated that Marcel had mistook the wreckage for that of a weather balloon. L.A. Marzulli interviewed Jesse Marcel Jr., who stated emphatically that what his father saw that day was a UFO, not a weather balloon. Marcel also told Marzulli that he had handled pieces of the wreckage that his father had brought home for his wife and son to see. Jesse Marcel Sr. and Jr. stood by their story for decades and never wavered from what they had seen and touched. Now, decades later, two witnesses have surfaced that add yet another interesting piece to the Roswell mystery. Here's their testimony in their own words.
The testimony that we are about to share with you is true.
I met Colonel Hill in, 1998, and I worked for him for several years. So in his last year or so of life, he got sick. and he was over in Wilford Hall, which is on the Lackland Air Force Base for military personnel. And I went every day, and I sat with him and I talked with him, and I just became very close to him. Colonel Hill was approaching 90 years of age, and so this was in 2001. And really, I don't know how it came up, but I just said, Colonel, what about Roswell? And he was kind of sitting like this, and his head came up and he looked at me, what about it? And
almost like, should I tell this? Or,
yeah.
Or, why not?
Well, he said, what about it? And I said, well, did it really happen, or was it really a weather balloon? He put his head down and he thought for a minute, and then he looked me dead in the eye and he said, it really happened, and it was not a weather balloon. Colonel Hill was an educated officer in intelligence, and he had 4 degrees that he told me about. He had sociology,
theology,
psychology, and
philosophy.
And philosophy, yes. And of course, he had never really went into any details about what he had done in the military, but it was all intelligence. And he told me that at the time that the Roswell incident happened, that he was in Fort Worth area. And they immediately put him on an airplane and told him to get to Roswell. So he arrived in Roswell right when the crash and the situation was fresh. He said he got there and that they had 2 bodies. One was still alive. And I said, well, what were they like, what we've been told? Were they little gray people? And he said, well, they were small in stature. And he said that he tried to communicate with it. He was there with them, and the one that was, they were doing everything they could to try to save the one that was still alive, but was severely injured. And the second one was already deceased. And but he said he did not go on about saying that he made communication or anything like that. But he was there. He made, contact.
He made an attempt.
He made an attempt to make contact with them. Yeah. Colonel Hill wasn't a jokester at all. He was military. He was a colonel, and I knew him for a couple of years, so I took everything that he was saying as the absolute truth.
He never gave us the impression of like he was going to pull a prank or anything.
No. And he was a good man, and one of my best clients that I've had the privilege to work with. But so I said to him, I said, Colonel, if they were humanoid and everything, I said, what was special about him? And again, the head drops and he thinks, and then he raised his head up at me and he held his hand up just like this. He said, they had 6 fingers, not 5. That's what he said that was special about them as far as their anatomy, that they were 6-fingered and not 5 like we are.
Now we know that he said that the bodies and all the material that went with them were packed up.
Yeah, they were all moved to Wright-Patterson, is what the colonel said. And then to have him validate the fact that, yes, it was true and it was no weather balloon. The physical details was that they were small in stature, less than 5 feet. He did try to communicate. I know he had physical contact with the creature or the alien. He put his hands on it, and he tried to communicate. Being that military experience was in intelligence, and he did do a lot of the World War II interviews and interrogations.
Like
he was a professional interrogator, and this is what he was trying to do, was to make contact with this alien. Colonel Hill described him as having large heads and dark eyes, but really, and that, oh yes, he did say they were wearing some type of suit. They were wearing a suit. Yes.
So Colonel Hill, according to the Rankins, died about a month after he came forward with his testimony. It really was a deathbed confession. He had buried all this because of his security oaths and all that for decades, literally for decades. But it got to the point where, as Carolyn said, he hung his head and then let out a deep sigh and then told another human being what he had seen. He had never done that before. We've heard this story before, a lot of deathbed confessions, a lot of people coming on the record at the end of life because they've carried the burden of knowing that what they saw changes history, changes what we think about the world. And they've kept it silent, but now that they're passing, they tell their wife or their grandkid or the Rankins, because apparently Colonel Hill didn't have anyone else. Roswell, in my opinion, was the real deal. And we see the doublespeak that I showed you in the papers, where it's first, we found a flying disc, and it's all over the papers. Oh, not so fast. It really was a weather balloon. And to think that Dr. Jesse Marcel Sr. would mistake a weather balloon for a crashed disc is preposterous. Preposterous. So that's incredible about the interview I did with Dr. Marcel Jr. in this book, because he's passed away now. We can't go back there. So it was for me, it was as close as I've ever been to the event, because I got to sit down and I got to pick his brain and talk to him and ask him the hard questions. What he saw was wreckage from something not of this world. And his father told him, and Jesse was about 12 at the time, take a good look at the sun because you may never see anything like this again. And as far as I know, Dr. Marcel Jr. never saw wreckage from craft like this, but other people have. And we know that the second rung of a disclosure ladder was Luis Elizondo on Tucker Carlson stating that we have in our possession metal from crashed UFOs. Why would he say that? And Tucker asked him, where did you get this? Elizondo says some from private sources, but most from the governmental sources. Cat's out of the bag, so which is it? What is the truth? Why the Texas two-step? Why the deliberate obfuscation? Folks, UFOs are real, they are burgeoning, and they're not going away. We have 3 films, and I'm going to ask you guys something, and I don't really ask this a lot. Thousands of you come here every single day. Thousands of you. Yet we've only sold, I think, under 500 with the special that we ran. Please consider contributing to what we do, to the ongoing research. When you buy the DVDs, that helps all this continue. Just pray about it. Just think about it. The Lord will provide, and he has provided up to this point. And I get it. The economy sucks. Times are tough. It's not the 4 years we had under Orange Man. It's a whole different scenario. But please consider, when you buy the DVDs, when you buy the book, you're sowing into what we do. You keep us with our hand on the plow. And share that with a friend. Get a couple of them and show them to your pastor. Number 4 is off the charts, in my opinion. It is on the abduction phenomena. We have interviewed 5 people who have been taken. Many of these people, their entire lives. Their entire lives. You will find the interviews absolutely riveting. Number 4 is on the abduction phenomena. Anyway, folks, pray about that. You can go to lamarzulli.net, lamarzulli.net, and avail yourself of all 3 of our ongoing UFO series. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, UFOs are real, burgeoning, and they're not going away.
Something very dark and disturbing is happening. It is a global phenomenon. that knows no boundaries. It adheres to no cultural mores, and the ones who are engaged in this nefarious activity are beyond reproach. People are being taken against their will, in the cover of darkness, in the dead of night. They are subjected to bizarre examinations that are often sexual in nature. These people are terrified, violated, confused, and with no place to turn to, as who would believe them? This is their story.
No heartbeat. Ultrasound, no baby. D&C, no fetal tissue. There's nothing. It was clean. He's like, ma'am, are you sure you were pregnant? I'm like, this is my doctor. You can call her. I was pregnant. He's like, you didn't bleed all night. You don't have, nothing came. I'm like, no, nothing came out of me.